Westerns have been a Hollywood staple for generations, but to be honest with you, I was never a fan growing up. The closest thing to a Western I watched as a kid was Back to the Future Part 3. That was about it. It wasn't until my early 20s that someone told me I should give a real Western a shot. I figured there's got to be a reason Hollywood keeps making so many of these, so I rented a few. The Wild Bunch, Unforgiven, and The Good, Bad, the Ugly. And that was it. I was hooked overnight. To me, Westerns capture a time when law and order were just outlines drawn in the dust. Fragile rules holding back the chaos of a growing, untamed country. What law protects you when you're towns of 2 buildings and a saloon in the middle of nowhere? You got outlaws robbing trains and banks just to survive, and lawmen willing to cross their own lines to get justice. It's about good versus evil. And the beauty of it is, those lines are always blurred. That's what I love about the genre. A few years later, I found myself telling someone else to give Westerns a shot. And just like me back then, they said they didn't like them, even though they'd never actually seen one. I rattled off a few recommendations, and they immediately started doing a John Wayne impression. And that's when it hit me. I hadn't even seen that many John Wayne Westerns myself. The only one I could remember seeing at the time was True Grit. My favorite reference for Westerns are really spaghetti Westerns. You know, the ones by Sergio Leone or Sergio Corbucci. The classics. I hadn't really dug into the old school American Westerns. So I made a point to change that. I went back, started watching some of Wayne's films, and eventually stumbled upon one I didn't just like, I loved. A movie where, on the surface, nothing much happens, but underneath, everything does. A movie built on great characters, quiet tension, and storytelling that doesn't need flash to be powerful. That film is Rio Bravo. Besides it being one of the first John Wayne films I've ever seen in full, it's also the first time I ever saw Dean Martin in a role, and the first time I ever saw Angie Dickinson. But anyway, what makes this film so great is the chemistry, the rhythm, the way the story unfolds at its own pace. It's all perfect. Rio Bravo turned me from a casual admirer into a believer in classic Westerns. It's proof that sometimes the simplest story told with the heart and the patience can hit harder than all the gunfights in the world. Now, there are some gunfights in here, and the story is pretty interesting enough, but it's really the characters that make this film so fantastic. And now, one of my all-time favorite Western films. Rio Bravo and One-Eyed Jacks, which hopefully one day I will talk about, are probably now in my top 10 all-time greatest Western films, and I'll probably do a ranked on that. But anyway, we're going to talk about Rio Bravo now. So if you haven't seen the film, I recommend you stop this video, go watch it. It's long, but it's enjoyable and entertaining, and I highly recommend it. And then come back here because we're going to be talking about spoilers. The film opens up with a dude walking into a saloon. He looks like he may be a hobo as he awkwardly walks around a crowded bar looking for something or someone. Wait, is this dude getting a shave at a bar? Was that something that really happened back in the day? Anyway, this dude notices a guy at the bar filling up a shot glass. The two lock eyes when... What kind of Western is this? After giving each other sexy eyes, the guy with the bottle tosses the dude some money, but deliberately tosses into a spit canteen. I think that's what it's called. Wrong! Yeah, those spit canteens or whatever they're called is what people used to spit into after they were chewing tobacco at bars. Like that scene in Back to the Future Part 3 when Marty is dancing like Michael Jackson and he accidentally launches the spit bucket into Mad Dog Tannen. Yeah, that's what those things are for. Anyway, the dude gets down to go grab the money from the spit canteen when the Duke shows up, looking down at the dude in disappointment. And this is when I realized that the dude is Dean Martin. I've always seen Dean Martin in suits, so for the first time seeing him out of a suit and playing a character that looks like this, disheveled and homeless, caught me by surprise. He does look unrecognizable. Anyway, the Duke approaches the prick that gave Dean Martin googly eyes, and Dean Martin whacks the Duke over the head with a stick. Dude then looks at the guy that threw the money in the spittoon. Yeah, it's actually called a spittoon, and Dean Martin's character's name is actually Dude. Anyway, he charges the guy with the stick, but his posse catches him. The man then lays an old school smackdown on Dude. A bystander intervenes. He tells him to stop, but this guy is such a badass, he's going to lay this guy down in front of all these witnesses. Conveniently, Dude collapses at the same time, and I guess the outlaw is satisfied and decides to head to another saloon in town. He grabs another drink when the Duke walks in. He comes to arrest the outlaw, who we discover his name is Joe. But Joe has posse members in this saloon as well, and they threaten to shoot the Duke. All of a sudden, we see Dude walk in, and he snatches the gun from somebody's holster and then shoots the gun out of the guy who was aiming his gun at Duke. Yeah, I know, it's a lot to take in. This is when we discovered that Duke's name in this film is John T. Chance, so we'll call him Chance from now on. Dude asks if Chance wants any of Joe's other compadres, but Chance says no. They then take Joe to jail. The next day, we see the Dude telling a stagecoach driver coming into town that they need to speak with Chance before they can pass through. The head of the stagecoach says Dude looks familiar, and when Dude tells him his name, and we see that Dude is also a deputy in this town, Dude tells him that he might remember him before, but by a different name, Barachone. It's actually not how it's pronounced.
Fucking white people.
Barachone. Barachone. You know what barachone means? It's actually pronounced borracho, which means drunk. But anyway, Chance knows these people and tells them his problems. You see, Chance and Dude arrested Joe Burdett, the younger brother of a powerful rancher. Joe's brother, Nathan, the powerful guy, puts out like a death order on Chance and Dude and anyone helping them. Chance and Dude are making sure that the stagecoach isn't carrying anybody that might be wanting to cause them problems, even though they know that they already have people in town that are probably sent there by Nathan that are gonna, lurking around to cause problems soon enough. This is where we meet Colorado, played by Ricky Nelson, who was a teen idol and singer, like I guess a teen heartthrob at the time. He's a freight wagon operator with the stagecoach leader. They're transporting dynamite, and Chance tells them to store it at the far end of town near an abandoned warehouse. We discovered that Dude is struggling from alcohol withdrawal, and we're introduced to another deputy in town named Stumpy. Stumpy is fantastic, absolutely amazing. He seems like a character that you're gonna get annoyed at, and he's gonna get on your nerves really soon, but no, he actually chews up the scenery. Every time he appears, he's phenomenal. Seriously, by the end of the film, I absolutely loved this old kook. Stumpy was fantastic. Chance knows Dude's struggling, so he offers him a beer, like, take a little sip. I know you gotta kick it, but here's something to calm your nerves because his hands are shaking, he's got stomach pain, he's really in a bad way. But Joe, the prisoner, makes a wisecrack towards Dude, and Dude gets pissed and he throws his whole bottle of booze at Joe. It shatters everywhere, and Dude, instead taking the glass, he ends up deciding to leave. For the rest of the film, Dude's character struggles with alcohol withdrawal, and from the perception people now have of him. You see, he wasn't always a drunkard. At one time, he was a deputy right under Chance. It was Chance and him, and they controlled this town, and everybody respected him. But you see, he fell in love with this girl, and then he went down to Mexico with her, and then she kind of cheated on him and left him, and then he became an alcoholic. He eventually returned to the town, only to be considered a laughingstock by everybody, and he was always drunk. Now, after what happened with Joe the other night, Dude wants a second chance, but he's struggling, and we see how he struggles, and we're rooting for him. We want him to overcome his demons. It's a good character arc, and something I don't really see where they give a lesser character, or not the main star, a heavy weight to carry. And Martin gives a great performance. Chance goes to deliver a package to the Mexican hotel owner, and we see that in this town, Chance holds everything together, not by fear, but by good leadership and friendship. Everyone in town respects him, and this hotel owner is a good friend to Chance, and vice versa. We see that he ordered sexy panties for his wife, 1800s sexy, and he didn't want to deliver it to him because he said everybody in town would know what it was, so he asked if Chance would do it, and Chance did. He shows Chance the pants, and that's where we meet Feathers, played by Angie Dickinson.
Showing!
My God, look at her. Now I understand why Uncle Junior from The Sopranos was always mentioning Angie Dickinson.
I want to fuck Angie Dickinson. See who gets lucky first.
She is gorgeous, just drop dead gorgeous. She isn't played as your typical 1959 female lead. In a sense, she is, but she's also not, because she wants to do more, and she automatically, we know she's fallen in love with Chance, and we can see that Chance has taken an interest in her. And she wants to stay there because she likes him. She wants to be there to help him. She wants to be there for him. Instantaneously, you know that she's in love with this guy, and she's doing everything in her power to get his attention, but not in an annoying way. Although it's annoying to Chance because Chance doesn't want her there because he already does like her. It's like he thought, this beautiful woman's here. She's gorgeous. I can't have her here because all this stuff is going around and I don't want her to get in harm's way. Those are our main characters, and this is the story. Chance has arrested Joe Burdett and now needs to wait till the U.S. Marshals come to pick him up. He can't try to leave with Joe, as Nathan and his posse are likely to try and ambush him to spring Joe out of custody. So they are trapped in town, and they know they are surrounded. Chance and Dude patrol the town. They know Burdett has guys in town and a saloon. They might try to do something to spring Joe out of jail. And they also don't want Nathan's crew to think that they're scared. Carlos, the hotel owner, tells Chance that the stagecoach driver, Wheeler, has been asking people in town why they aren't helping Chance, but also telling them why Chance needs the help, which could cause some of the people in town to be fearful or try to flee, putting them in harm's way. Chance tells Wheeler not to gossip about it, and he offers his men to deputize so this way Chance can use them, and Chance refuses. He's saying that your men are married, just like the men in town. I'm not gonna ask them because they're not good with a gun. That's when Wheeler offers himself, and Chance says the same thing. You're not that good with a gun either. And he says, you know what? You gave me a great idea. And Wheeler offers up Colorado. Wheeler goes and brings Colorado over and asks him to help Chance fight off the Burdetts. And Colorado says no. Wheeler, the stagecoach driver, says he didn't expect that to happen, and if Chance doesn't want his help, he'll round up his men and tell them that they'll leave in the morning. Chance then sees Feather basically robbing all the men at poker, but not because she's literally robbing them, just because she's really good at poker. But Chance accuses her of cheating, saying that the card deck is missing 3 cards. We find out that Feather kind of has a warrant out, or she was with a guy who had a warrant out for cheating in cards, and the description fits her description exactly. And she says, yeah, that is her. She was that girl, she was with that guy. Chance then tells her, well, give me the cards, and she says she doesn't have them. He has to search her first to prove that she's the one that, has the cards and she was cheating. Chance gets uncomfortable, and that's when Colorado comes up to inform him that he's got the wrong girl. That's actually not her, but there's a guy downstairs that he thinks is cheating. They go down and approach the real card cheat, and we see a cool scene where Colorado and Chance draw their weapons, but we also see Carlos in the back was about to draw his weapon. See? This is a good town, loyal friends. Anyway, they catch him and they arrest him. Chance doesn't apologize to Feathers, but tells her not to gamble. And she tells him no. She likes to gamble, and she's not like any other woman he's ever seen before. And we already know that he knows that because we can tell that he's very much into her. As Chance heads outside, we see Wheeler walking towards them when he's shot and killed. Colorado now wants in as they just killed his boss, but Chance tells him he lost that opportunity, and if he wants to really help them now, he could take his boss's body off the streets. Dude and Chance corner the guy who killed Wheeler, but he makes it to the saloon. It's Burdett's saloon. Dude goes in the front and Chance goes in the back. All the men in the saloon are Burdett's ranch hands. Dude makes them line up. He starts investigating, looking for the shooter, and then he notices something. Dude is getting his skills back. He turns quick and fires, catching the killer hiding in the rafters. From here on, we have Chance, Dude, Stumpy, Colorado, and Feathers teaming up together, a group of mismatched misfits trying to withstand a siege, intimidation, and hired killers sent by the Burdett gang until the marshals arrive. The movie's about courage, loyalty, redemption, and standing your ground, even when the odds are impossible. The film was directed by Howard Hawks, who approached this film as not your typical action Western film. It's a hangout film, a movie where the pleasure is the people, not the plot. He wanted us to spend time with these characters and get to know them, like them, root for them, and cheer for them. It's like he wanted us to feel like we were in the town with them. Before this film, I'd not seen many John Wayne films, but since Howard Hawks directed a lot of them, I decided I'd take a dive into them, and I'd highly recommend that any of you who've never seen a Western before, check out this one first. It's simply amazing. Oh, and I did say earlier that I had not seen a film with Angie Dickinson before, and that was a mistake. I saw her in Dressed to Kill. She was older, although I wish the scene that she was in Dressed to Kill happened in Rio Bravo. It would have made the movie even better, but I digress. Anyway, if I'm going to rate this film, I'm going to give this movie 5 out of 5 stars. Honestly, I can't praise this film enough. I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did, and normally when I do these little reviews, these rewinds, I go through the entire film. Now that would have been too long because this movie's over 2 hours long, but it's an enjoyable 2 hours that goes by really quickly and you don't even realize it because you actually are rooting for every single character and all the things that are happening in the film. It's a really, really great film, and that's why I've given it 5 out of 5 stars. Honestly, like I said, it's in my top 5 greatest Western films of all time. Now, if I was to have to describe this film to somebody, I would say it's basically like Assault on Precinct 13. And it'd be pretty accurate because John Carpenter said Rio Bravo was his main influence when he directed and created and wrote Assault on Precinct 13. Well, anyway, that's my review for Rio Bravo. If you like this video, remember to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new here, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace.